Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 260. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus and the Facebook group Dumb SEO Questions. With us tonight we have Ashok Panda. Ashok is an SEO. I'm not sure where you are, Ashok. I'll come back to you in a moment. David Rozam. David is based in the south of England. He is an SEO copywriter for 12 odd years and a copywriter for 30 odd. He's a leading internet marketer. You can find David at writingforseo.org. Sash Meyer is a disaster recovery specialist. He is based, but you're based in the UK now, Sash, I think, are you?
I'm on the East Coast at the moment, but heading back to the States next week. So it's where's Sash broadcasting from this week, basically?
Okay. Well, Sash is a Google top contributor on the Google Webmaster community, and I have to get my introductions polished up. Sash, I don't know where your website is.
Sash.co. It's really easy.
Sash is spelled SASCH.co. And Ashok is in Ingolstadt in Germany. Tim Capper is parachuted in from somewhere. Tim is based in Corby, 97 miles north of London. He's a conversion rate optimization specialist. He is proud to call himself an SEO. He's also a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community. All right, let's check out our questions tonight. We only have 8. First one is from Jason Munn on image thumbnails on mobile search engine result pages. Jason said, "Hi SEO friends, it looks like Google has started to display image thumbnails in mobile search engine result pages. In this particular example, they are showing thumbnails for e-commerce product category pages. Is anyone noticing something similar in other niches? They're not being triggered by any special structured data makeup. It seems that they are randomly selecting images that will fit the dimensions of that real estate. Anyone have any insights into this?"
So I don't know specifically about products or product categories rather, but they have been displaying, for example, local businesses. They've been displaying thumbnails, and there's a few other little things you can do if you're using structured data markup. Now, even if you don't add the image into your structured data markup, if it can pull a image, it will display it. This is normally only for about the first, after about the first 5, they just drop off, they don't display. It's only the sort of first 5 in the search results. If you actually add in, your image into your structured data markup, as well as you use a price range, so it doesn't actually have to be a physical price. You can use something like, so with some of my hotels, I use things like best rate guaranteed instead of an actual physical $1 to $10 kind of thing. And you'll see it as actually pretty cool. You'll get obviously your description in the mobile, you'll get a thumbnail, then below that, if you're also using review markup, you get your X amount of stars, and then right next to it, it'll say best rate guaranteed. So yeah, that's been around in, with local business for since November 2016, I think it was. So I'm assuming it's going to be working somewhat similar to that. In the traditional product category markup, you don't necessarily have to add an image. But if you chuck the structured, if you also chuck it into structured data, hang on, I'm thinking product, but not actual category. Yeah, but I'm assuming, so look, for product itself, if you don't use the image within the product, in the structured data testing tool, you don't get the little preview tab, right? Green light lights up. If you use the image in the structured data, the little green preview pops up. You can then go and preview what your mobile structured snippet may look like. Now, as in always, Google displays what they want to display, you know, so you know, the preview thing is what it may look like. If you don't include the image, then you don't get the little preview tab light up. I'm assuming that's going to be similar now when you're seeing in the product category. So, you know, if there isn't an image on page, if you aren't specifying an image, it's not going to really display an image at all, unless it's a really high authority site that it can figure something out somewhere, something similar, it'll pull it through. But apart from that, I would always, you know, display it. But then again, flip side, Google displays what they want to display, when they want to, and how they want to display it, what they feel is best for the user.
Brilliant, Tim. Anybody else? All right, so we'll move on from Jason Munn's question. This one is from Neil Cheeseman on using hreflang. He said, for an English UK language website, should both hreflang be used or just one? I.e. hreflang equals en or hreflang equals en-gb or both. And on a German language version of the same website, would you just have hreflang DE and not have the country?
It depends where he's targeting. If he's just targeting the UK, ENGB, if he's targeting English in places around the world without being specific about it, then EN and the Germany would be DE anyway, I think.
Indeed.
Thank you. Okay, let me tweet that and we'll move on to the next. Naveen Prakash, somehow or other our scraper didn't pick up this image, but it can be seen on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. Naveen said, is it good to index the date of an article post or not? What is your suggestion?
Depends entirely on the type of post. You know, if it's anything vaguely newsy or time sensitive, then a date will help. If it's just evergreen, you know, what they call evergreen content, informational content, and it's not really that important unless you're really intent on, you know, showing that you're fresher than your competitors.
Yeah, and then, you know,
which can also backfire on you. Sorry,
yeah,
go on.
But also, you know, you also got to go back to the situation where, I mean, I've seen, you know, as you do, you every now and again have a little look-see where something of yours is appearing. And, you know, I've sometimes got something from, you know, 2014 appearing, you know, in the first slots next to 2017 articles. If your stuff's great, it's going to hang about. But as Sash said, if it's evergreen, you know, then if you wanted to create something that's evergreen, and you know, then consider not publishing that as an article. Consider where that can fit within your site. You know, if it's a resource and you're going to continually update it and it's going to be a permanent kind of resource or something, then have that within maybe a resource section on your site, or something where that's permanent, that's always going to be there. But if it's an article and it's timely, get it out there. You know, yeah. I mean, I personally like to look at dates. It allows me to quickly assess who's published what, when, and where. Yeah, you know, they're helpful. I would, you know, if it's an article, use them. I think it's beneficial to users. I certainly use them. You know, when you quickly scan.
The other thing is that, you know, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I find that my writing gets better if I have one or two shandies. So.
Yes, shandies. Shandies. All right, let's go to the next. Let me tweet that and move on to Chris Lebate. What is the best practice for redirecting HTTP to HTTPS? Chris said, guys, I have a site that is going through 3 redirects and need to know what is the best practice for redirecting HTTP to HTTPS. The developer seems to think that you need to include both versions of the website URL, www versus non-www, which is giving us 3 hops. Wavedirect.net to HTTPS, wavedirect.net, www.wavedirect.net to HTTPS, www.wavedirect.net. The last one being the final destination, but I always let Google console handle www to non-www anyway. I don't think that's a good idea, Chris. Am I correct in my thinking?
Your developer is wrong.
Yeah, essentially your non-www to your www version is, you know, you should be handling that via htaccess originally anyways for the domain, right? And then all you're doing is, let's say you are on, I mean, I don't know because you gave 2 different things there, so I don't actually know what you're on. But let's say, for example, you're on the www version now, HTTP www. Your htaccess has already taken care of the to the www version automatically. And also, depending, you may be in a CMS that may be doing that automatically for you anyway. It depends what you're in. So essentially, htaccess, what you're doing now is, if you're switching, you're then literally redirecting only once from the HTTP to the HTTPS version, and then you just switch your htaccess, your dub to non-dub to HTTPS, because that should always be in HTTPS. That's what you're resolving the site in now. So it is actually only one. Your developer, I don't know where. You should probably go back. There's a ton of articles out there now. I think even Google developers or webmaster, they've got some informational stuff on how to do it properly. Yeah, I think you need to just go back and read up quickly again.
Yes, I mean, to me, there are necessary hops. You should be able to have a rewrite condition if the host is not HTTPS. And so for all results, for non-HTTPS, you redirect it to the www version if that's your primary site with HTTPS, and you accomplish all of that in one hop. Anyway, let's move on with the next. If anybody else has no other comment. Okay, number 5 on your run list from Marvin Hernandez. It's titled Republish or Just Update. Marvin said, looking for advice on a blog page when just a small portion of content gets changed every 2 weeks. Is it better to republish or just update the blog page every 2 weeks for SEO purposes?
Yeah, republishing it is not doing anything if you're just changing a tiny little portion of it. Just use the update. If you went in and something significantly changed, so I'll give you an example. I created a Google My Business dashboard, a guide, and it's mammoth. Google My Business a year later now has just freaking changed everything. So I haven't, when I eventually update it, essentially massive chunks of that is going to change, the whole thing. At that point, I will republish that because almost 60% of it is going to be completely different. And so I will republish that. But if I'm only just doing tiny little portions every other week, just update it. Yeah, only if you change something significant would I recommend republishing it with that specific republish date on.
It's not just that. It's like if you're republishing it, right, it will achieve absolutely nothing unless you're changing the URL, because Google will just come along and go, oh yeah, look at that, same page. And if you're turning around and you're actually changing the URL, then you've basically saddled yourself with the need to put 301s into place and do all sorts of crap that you really don't need to do. You know, so it's republishing, me, not for anything minor, like Tim said.
Okay, let's call that a wrap for that. I'll tweet it and we'll move on. Number 6 on our run list for Neil Cheeseman, another question about hreflang. He said, hreflang 2 questions. 1, if you have a website that has a partner website in another language, how should pages that don't have a duplicate page URL be handled? I.e., to not have any hreflang on those pages, just have a canonical. 2, is there an hreflang equivalent for images that are used across different language domains? I don't think there is, but I thought I would ask. Neil, I'm sorry, but we're going to pass on this one.
Yeah, okay, I'm a bit stumped on that. Why would you, when you say a partner website, we're talking 2 different domains here, correct?
Yeah,
that's guessing that it's like the English and the German as specified in his previous question.
Right, okay.
That's the guess here, but I don't know, it is just a guess. So if you have the other version of the other language version, but obviously the German isn't as comprehensive. No, yeah, guess so.
Yeah, the way I'm reading that is I'm getting that they're actually hosted separately. So instead of having
versions.
Yeah. So instead of actually having it in one site as such and then having your language versions within it, you've actually got 2. So this is my English, yeah. Well, if you have used hreflang throughout the site consistently between the two, one's in English and one's in German, and you're referencing the English page to the German site to the English site, and then you get to a page that has nothing on it, for example, well, I haven't got an example, but you've got an English page and there's zero equivalent to the German site. Well, you don't use any hreflang in them. You just leave that out. And equivalently, the German one may also have a particular service local to their particular area, for example, that has no equivalent to the English. You just don't use any hreflang on that.
I think we froze there.
The ambiguity is strong with this one.
All right, let's tweet this as a response and move on. Powering through these. Number 7 on our run list, how to fix 404 URLs found in Google Webmaster Tools, or the Google Search Console. Googlebot couldn't crawl this URL because it points to a non-existent page. Neither the URLs or the URL or those linked from are in the Google index.
Right, so you don't necessarily need to go and fix 404s, okay? I mean, if you wanted to be absolutely pedantic and something doesn't exist, you could 410 it, right? But let's just say you're not going to go 410ing everything when it disappears. So you don't necessarily have to go and fix 404s. You could literally have, you know, a million 404s and it's cool because that product's come, it's gone, that page is, you know, the seasonality or whatever, it's come and gone. It's not coming back, it's a 404. However, so you don't need to actually fix it. I know in Search Console, you've got the little button that says, you know, this is fixed. So people sometimes think, oh shit, I need to fix this. Well, actually you don't. It's perfectly, you know, acceptable. That page is gone, it's gone. If it has a, you know, if, for example, you had a lot of pages and let's say you had a size 10 pink fluffy Wellington boot, right, which is gone, and but you do have a size 11 pink fluffy Wellington boot, then what you could do is you could 301 redirect the size 10 pink fluffy Wellington to the size 11. But if you don't have any other pink fluffy Wellington boots anywhere mentioned, then leave it as a 404. It's you know, it's nothing. However, let's also say, and this takes a bit, but let's say when you first came out with your size 10 pink fluffy Wellington boot, and yo man, this went viral. The chicks digged it, man, and some blokes, but the chicks digged it, and they really loved it, and it got shared and linked and mentioned all over the place. But it's gone now. It's never coming back because it's illegal to make pink fluffy Wellington boots in China. Okay, and you just so let's say this is never coming back, but it's been linked to from all over the place. So how can you use that? Because you've got these links, people have mentioned it a lot. So you've got two options there. You can actually then, for example, redirect that to your category page, the actual Wellington category page. That's great, but they're never going to find a pink Wellington because it's never coming back. So that is one option. Another option is to start thinking a little bit more strategically. So why not create a, you know, pink fluffy elephant actual pink fluffy Wellington page on the site, right? That, you know, just makes a little bit of, you know, a little bit of fun. You know, unfortunately, this product's, you know, we can't get it made anymore, blah, blah, blah. Making pink Wellingtons in China has become illegal, and, you know, we just can't source the product anymore, etc., etc. Maybe add a little bit of Instagram when people share it all over Instagram, and wow, you know, we're so glad you love the product, and if we can get it back, blah, 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 we're going to love to have it. In the meantime, why don't you check out our Wellington page and also our new pink fluffy slippers page. So it all depends on what the product is, how the authority was with that, and how you can use it. You know, if you're not going to be creative and not use this to your advantage, yeah, just redirect it to the actual Wellington category page. But if you want to use a bit of that authority and have a bit of fun with it and create a bit of user interaction, get creative, and you can actually use that and have a set page which people can always come back to, etc. But then you can use it for other avenues branching off into the site.
Thank you, Tim.
Oh,
go ahead, Sash.
For Google Webmaster Tools, there's kind of a rule of thumb, because you can get linked to quite a lot for stuff that never exists, random scrapers, targeting random URLs, URL parameters. So you can actually get an awful lot of links to URLs that just don't exist. You basically ignore those. The rule of thumb there is if you're linking within your own site to stuff that's no longer there and whatnot, fix those 404s. If they just appear randomly from outside, there's nothing you can do about it. Ignore them.
Thank you, Sash. All right, let's move on to the next. This one from Josu Sanchez Arnaldo. And it's marked with a question mark. The title is Google gives more importance to links than Yandex. Does anybody have any experience in Yandex? Josu said. The Russian search engine. He said, I made a website in Russian with very good content, but zero link building, and it is ranking top 5 in most of my keywords in Yandex. While in Google, I cannot pass the 3rd page. I think Google is more slow to rank you higher, or maybe Google gives more importance to links than Yandex.
Not that I'm the huge Yandex expert, but the last I remember, they actually came out and said that they do not use the link matrix for ranking purposes. So a site without backlinks ranking isn't that surprising. He's also right in his assessment that Google will take some time to warm up to you. This is especially true if you don't have any links, because the link is still basically the king. The quality link, I should say. So yeah, that's it. Don't be surprised, because Yandex just doesn't use links in the first place.
Yep, that's my memory as well. Anybody else? Let me tweak this. I've got an idea what's going to happen next. And when we click the forward button, oops, it's thank you for watching. We've done it again, guys. We've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, and the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But before we go, we must thank David Rozan, Sash Meyer, Tim Kappa, and Ashok was with us before and had to drop off for technical difficulties. Anyway, same time next week. Thank you very much.